Have you ever had that feeling that your mind is your absolute greatest strength, but also somehow your biggest burden? That being smart doesn't get rid of your struggles, it just gives them a different shape. Well, if that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. We're about to flip the script on things often seen as flaws and look at what psychology suggests they really are, the telltale signs of a complex and deeply wired mind.
And listen, this isn't just some feel-good quote. This is a psychological reality. For a certain type of mind, the world is processed in stunning high resolution. But that depth, that clarity, it comes with a cost. And very often, those costs are the exact things you've been struggling with.
I mean, it's a crazy paradox, right? Your mind can solve these incredibly complex problems. It can see patterns nobody else notices and come up with amazing ideas. But that very same engine can feel so overwhelming. It can leave you feeling drained, disconnected, or just mentally fried, even when, from the outside, everything in your life looks totally fine.
Okay, so let's dive into the first one, the big one, the label that gets thrown around all the time, overthinking. But what if I told you that psychology shows us something totally different is going on? It's not a glitch in your system, it's the system itself, working exactly as designed.
This right here, this is the heart of it. Most people see the world in simple, straight lines. You see it in layers. Your brain isn't just processing what is, it's constantly running simulations of what could be, what should be, and all the invisible threads connecting everything. This isn't just about being anxious. It's about seeing the full, messy, complicated picture.
So let's just bust a few myths, shall we? When someone says you worry too much, what's really happening is your brain is on autopilot, analyzing data even when you're trying to rest. It doesn't have an off switch, and when they call you indecisive, it's because you're busy examining every single angle, weighing every variable, trying to find the best path, not just the easiest one. See, this isn't a character flaw. It's a processing style. It's just how you're wired.
Of course, processing the world in this kind of high definition, well, it comes with a price, especially when it comes to our awareness of our environment, of other people, and of ourselves.
And this heightened awareness, it creates some really common social side effects. You might feel this intense, soul-crushing boredom with small talk because it just lacks the depth your mind craves. This can leave you feeling physically exhausted after just a short, shallow conversation. It also leads to this unique kind of loneliness, that feeling of being totally isolated even in a room full of people, because finding someone who truly gets it, who you can mentally connect with, is just so rare.
So the why behind that drained feeling often comes down to a biological trait known as high sensory processing sensitivity. Now, this is not a disorder. It just means your brain is like a high-powered radar, constantly picking up on all the tiny details, micro-expressions, little shifts in tone, the subtle energy in a room that most people miss completely. In a quiet, one-on-one chat, this is a superpower, but in a noisy, crowded room, it's instant cognitive overload.
Okay, so if your brain is this incredible sponge constantly absorbing and processing so much data, how does it ever cope? This brings us to a really crucial and often misunderstood need, the power of quiet, the power of solitude. For a mind that is always on, silence isn't some empty void that needs to be filled with noise or distraction. It's a workspace. It's a necessary space for deep processing, for connecting all those disparate ideas and for finding real clarity. It's not about avoiding people. It's about entering a deeper state of thinking that can only happen when you turn the volume of the world way, way down. Now, this is one of the most advanced functions of a highly intelligent mind. Most people get a trigger and they react instantly. But your brain can do something called cognitive inhibition. It creates this tiny, microscopic gap between the stimulus and your response. And in that gap, an incredible amount of work happens. You analyze, you predict consequences, you choose a deliberate action. So what might look like hesitation to someone else is actually a high-speed process of strategic planning. It's the critical difference between reacting and responding. Finally, let's talk about the protective mechanisms your brain uses to manage all this intensity. Think of it like an unseen operating system running quietly in the background, specifically designed to prevent a total system crash. This visual, it just says it all, doesn't it? For a typical brain, the sensory input in a crowded room is manageable. It's background noise. But for a sensitive, high-processing brain, it's an overwhelming flood of data. It's a tidal wave that quickly leads to cognitive overload because your brain has to work so much harder just to filter everything. And when that overload finally happens, your brain initiates something called a protective withdrawal.
Have you ever felt that sudden, overwhelming urge to just cut off all contact? To go dark, even with people you like? That's not you being cold. It's not you being antisocial. That's your brain's emergency shutdown protocol. It's an intelligent, self-regulating strategy designed to conserve energy and get you back to baseline. It's not just allowed, it's absolutely necessary.
So let's bring this all home. The overthinking, the sensitivity, the need for solitude, that sudden withdrawal, these are not signs that something is wrong with you. They aren't bugs in your software. They are the operational costs of a mind that is beautifully, powerfully wired for depth, for awareness, and for complexity.
Look, understanding this is one thing, but living it is another. Acknowledging your wiring isn't an excuse, it's a user manual. It's the key to working with your mind instead of against it. So the real question is, how are you going to protect it? Want a place to start? Try this. Schedule just 15 minutes of intentional silence into your day. No phone, no music, no podcasts, just you. And don't see it as downtime. See it as essential processing time. Because protecting your energy isn't just self-care, it's the highest form of intelligence.